Welcome all. It's absolutely fantastic to have Alan Flynn with us today. Alan, welcome back. And would you say a few words about yourself, Alan, just so that the audience is aware of who you are?
Yeah, so thanks, Paddy, for introducing me. So Alan Flynn, I've been working in IT for well over 20 years. In doing a lot. Initially, I started off in technical area and then worked more in process improvement and ITIL sort of areas. So that's my kind of professional resume, as it were. But the interest in design thinking came when I saw, I think, one of those ABC programs, where they were working with IDEO, and it just fascinated me, the idea. So yeah, I was quite keen to join the course when I saw it.
Yeah, so that's that famous shopping cart piece by ABC News, I think, which actually I
Exactly.
think we play on the program as well, or we have in the past. Alan, 20 years experience. And I know you're interested in design thinking as a result
Yeah.
of the likes of that, but what were you thinking in terms of going back into a program, an educational program? What were your thoughts?
I I'll admit I didn't do great in school. Well, university. I went to university and stuff. I felt I could have done better. And one of the reasons I came and wanted to do a postgraduate was to kind of do justice to my younger self, if that makes sense. And it's kind of there was a moment there before I started the course where I thought, I wouldn't do it. And I had read somewhere once that um, that failure, so you can fail at something, that you can try and do something and fail at it, but also not doing something is a form of failure. And that really kind of made me think, you know what, if I don't try it, well, then I've failed as well as if I hadn't done it. So yeah, and I kind of convinced myself then to join the course after, God, years out of university.
Yeah, great story, and I love the idea, about doing justice to your younger self, because actually, in a way, maybe your older self showed up your younger self a bit on this program, and what I
Yeah,
mean here is, I know you got an award for actually your contribution in terms of your project on this program,
yeah,
Alan. Do you want to tell us a bit about that project?
yeah. So I, um, for the audience that are considering joining, um, one of the things we learned on design thinking was, there's lots of opportunities. So when it came to this action design research project, which is the second term, uh, you feel a bit under pressure. And I think I came up with about 5 different versions of what I could do. So it wasn't for lack of things that we could improve or design an intervention around. But I was inspired by a video from Mike Boyd where he talks about I built a dopamine box. And it was a device where he's trying to track daily habits. And these are habits that he said made a big difference to his life. And these are things like, exercising every day, maybe waking up on time, these sort of activities. And at the same time, I had moved back to Ireland after 20 years away. So I didn't mention it earlier, but I've been living in a lot of different countries. Moved back to Ireland, and I had noticed that my own habits towards exercise and motivation towards exercise had decreased. So for someone who had exercised nearly daily for 5 years, I had actually just ended up doing nearly zero. So the motivation for this project was really an amalgamation of my own personal experience around exercise and also seeing a device that someone else is producing on YouTube that's driving them towards motivation. So I thought to myself, could I build a physical device to actually help me with my habit changes and improvements? So I don't know if that's a long-winded version, but yeah, there you go.
No, it's yeah, and it's fantastic, and we can see it in the in your virtual background as well, Alan. And I suppose it was about producing a physical thing, but also what intrigued me was the depth of the reading you'd done into behavior change, even I would say even as far as psychology and what psychology can tell us about, I suppose the role of dopamine, but also
Yeah,
habit, etc.
yeah. So what surprised me on the course, or even on this project, was you have maybe for the first few weeks when you're studying something at kind of very high level, but as you go deeper in and research, you find out, okay, thing is leading to another. And in this case, I think I initially looked into how behavioral change works. So it was kind of as a psychological phenomena. Why does it work from the psychological level? And then that led into the next level down from a neurological point of view. And these are areas I'd never studied or even considered studying months beforehand. What's actually happening inside your body when you're trying to change? What's motivating you to to change from one habit to another, or what's holding you back, maybe more importantly. So yeah, it was a nice evolution from kind of a concept to study to eventually down to the writing point of view of actually how to tie it all together and write it up as a project.
Mm.
So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and essentially, like what you were reading, you were nearly testing then by building a physical. We call them artifacts or a
Yeah.
physical prototype, and actually, I suppose it then showing or demonstrating or evaluating it had value. Who do you think this project could have value for in the future? Obviously, it has value for yourself, Alan, because you've
Yeah.
spoken about that journey you were on personally. But who do you think it could produce value for going forward?
So it's a good question. At the end of the project, I still believe this had value, and I think there's probably a marketable product here. Um, and I was thinking towards the end of the project, this is something that could be offered maybe as a service by a gym or maybe a healthcare facility. Because when I initially started this project, I saw that kind of dopamine box. I saw that okay, you could assign a button towards a goal you're setting, and then if you click it, it would change color or maybe make a sound, and that should drive you or kind of remind you one to do the thing, so it'll prompt you to take the action, and then when you complete the task, it's kind of giving you that affirmation that okay, task is done. And when I started a project, I thought, you know that's all you need to do. But as I went through the project, I realized that it only takes you so far. You're not going to go through your life every 6 weeks and come up with a new set of 6 goals or 3 goals. So to a certain extent, the the artifact or the thing you're building has a very short cycle. And I thought that okay, so this is a problem. This would, if you take that line, that would be the end of the road for your project. You'd use it for 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and then you put it in a drawer, and then you'd maybe feel consumer regret for having bought something, and then I thought, hang on, if you tied this with a service, so a service could be something like you sign up to your gym membership, they talk to you about your goals, what you want to achieve over the next few weeks or months, and they say, well, try this out. Here's your device. Set your goals here, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and just keep a record of those. As you click this, have I done it? Have I done? And then maybe mold your behavior based on the feedback you're getting here. Does the prompt work for you? And so when you take a design and then you kind of push it through this kind of process, you will hit constraints. And then it's from those constraints that suddenly you think, aha, there's a better way forward, maybe a more robust way forward. So yeah, it was kind of a interesting
Mm.
project from that point of view.
Yeah, I love that mindset, the curiosity element, that a blocker is an opportunity for rising again, for learning more and improving, and I love that, Alan, Alan, so obviously you have this prototype now. What are you thinking in terms of maybe bring it forward further, or are you thinking of bringing it forward further? Where
Mm,
to next for this prototype?
Well, I've just finished a write-up a couple of weeks ago, and as we said earlier, it's a tiring piece of work. I have to really think about this. I do think that there's something in there, and maybe it's a business, maybe it's something further, like another paper. So yeah, I'll have to see where my energy level is now.
Yeah, or maybe we'll crowdsource it and ask the audience if you've any ideas. Maybe it's worth contacting Alan about it.
Yeah,
So actually, that's maybe another way as well. And Alan,
definitely. And I was going to say, just add to that, that if anyone is interested in having a chat to me about behavioral change or a physical device, maybe not a wearable device like a watch, but something physical that's going to help influence behavior change, have a chat to me. I've done a lot of research at this stage.
Yeah, and again, we will definitely be inviting you back for our next cohort, Alan. So
Okay,
if
great.
someone is watching this and they're seeing Alan now, the chances are if you join the program, we'll definitely hear from Alan again. Touch wood next year. Alan, talking about those maybe people that are thinking about joining the program in the future, what advice would you give? It's not easy, and you refer to know that you're just finishing now. There is an element of tiredness. I'm sure there's sort of also an element of feeling achievement. But what
Yeah,
advice would you give to people maybe thinking of going on the same journey as you went on?
I would say, okay. Um, well, I would say do it, straight up front. Yeah, do take the course. There was a couple of reasons why I did the course. One, because I wanted to understand maybe from a intellectual point of view, what is design thinking? How could I use it in my own work and job? There's a practical part which you can't escape. If you're ever going to work in facilitation or design thinking, you have to practice. It's the only way to do it is in practice. And one thing we had on the course, we were broken into small groups and we worked constantly, maybe week on week, and over quite a period of a few months. And so while it's intense, you're building up good relationships with people, but you're getting a lot of practice. So I would say for anyone that's maybe feeling shy or thinking that okay, that's something I need to develop in my skills, whether it's technical skills to use different types of digital tools or learn how to represent data or how to talk to people and get information from people, join the course, and you'll get a lot from it. You may different things than I got from it, but you'll gain a lot.
Mhm. And I heard maybe just before we pressed record on this session here, and you say something that struck me, that uh, very quickly there's a realization that you need to work with diversity to solve some of the problems we're facing in the world today. But you passed the comment that we have to realize that by trying to solve a problem on our own and pushing a solution, very often doesn't deliver the same result as working with people to design solutions for those people,
Yeah.
with those people. Any final comment on that before we
And
finish up?
yeah, I guess that is a good observation and good finding from this course, and something that I'll reflect on in my own work. Um, we've heard a mantra in the kind of in the work of world and stuff saying we need diversity in our teams, and you can take it on board or you can disregard it. What this course actually gave me was through real life examples with my own team, with working with different people and also reading literature into successful design projects. And diversity is actually key. And it kind of brings you through that process to explain why. And it's often those elements when we're working together from a maybe person you didn't agree with or whatever else that you actually get the most insight from. And one of the things I realized was that it's at the point of most contention within a group that you're actually on the verge of that breakthrough. And the reason is if they didn't push back or be passionate about their point of view, it means they don't actually care that much. And so it was a nice kind of understanding from my point of view as how to kind of build this into the future.
Well, beautifully put. And Alan, thank you so much for sharing whatever number of minutes here with us today. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you again. Alan, Garamila Mahagud.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, buddy.